The world keeps getting better when women make it a habit to fix each other's crowns and exclusively focus on picking up the broken pieces in the lives of other women. With great passion for women, children, and marriages, your hosts, Ntwatwa Evelyn, bring you the irresistible Woman to Woman reality talk show. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more about this eventful and exciting show. Woman to Woman reality talk show.
Welcome back to Woman reality talk show, where we have a heart-to-heart embracing womanhood. My name is Evelyn Ntwatwa, and in this week is a National Infertility Awareness Week. And with me is Fiona, who is so passionate about this topic and has had an experience with her as a woman and in her marriage. She's ready to share with us her story and journey. Please keep watching us and let's learn. Hello, Fiona.
Hi, Evelyn.
Please introduce yourself to our viewers. We get started.
My name is Fiona Nannozi Ngoga.
Okay.
And I am a mother of two. I am married to one husband. And I am also a founder of Rainbow Hearts Foundation.
Rainbow Hearts Foundation.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's really an organization that I started from personal experience.
Okay.
And I like that you said we are here to learn and to just share experiences that we've gone through. Yes. So I have gone through infertility.
Okay.
And
what was your journey like?
Yeah, the reason I'm passionate about it is because not many people understand it. But even us who struggle with it, sometimes we may not know exactly what we are going through. I can say that my journey started when I was a young girl.
Okay.
I just started when I hit puberty, basically.
Wow, most people get to know like later.
Yes. But I didn't know that this is where the journey would end. But I have a hormonal problem, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, I have missed periods. I don't have my period every month.
That is the definition of that hormonal.
That's one of the symptoms. One of the symptoms is that I have missed periods. However, not everyone who has that hormonal imbalance has the same symptoms. So basically, there's like a wide range of symptoms out there. My symptom was that I didn't get my period every month. But then moving forward a bit, when I first saw a doctor, I had just finished campus. I was still a young girl, and I was just going to check up to see what's happening. What's happening. So I saw a doctor, and they told me that they explained to me that I had a hormonal problem, but then I think because they saw that I was young,
they didn't really
take it seriously. So they told me, we can give you pills. They are birth control pills. They help to stabilize people's
periods, at an early age.
Yes. So they gave me birth control pills to help stabilize my period, and the doctor told me when I would be ready to have children, it can also be sorted.
Okay.
So at that time, because I was young and I was still staying with my parents, I thought about it and I was like, now, one day my mother will land on these birth control pills. Yeah. What will she think? Or
like you had not shared with your mom?
No, I had not shared with her. Because I think also in the society that we have grown, our parents don't talk about these things. They buy you sanitary towels at the beginning of term, but whether you've used them or not, they continue buying. So my parents didn't know that I was experiencing this. So when they gave me the pills, I didn't really want to stabilize a period because when you don't get your period, sometimes you're relieved.
I know, like especially when you're young, like you have no worries. You're like, it's okay.
So I was like, it's okay. The doctor said when I'm ready to have children, they will come. Life moved on.
Wow.
So it's really later when I wanted to have the children.
Like, how long did you take taking the pills for stabilizing you?
I think actually I took them for 1 week. But because, as I mentioned, I feared, especially my parents landing on them.
They'll think otherwise.
They'll think
like,
otherwise.
Are
you active? Because I didn't know how to explain that birth control pills is what I'm taking to stabilize my period. You get it?
Imagine.
Yeah. So I actually didn't take them. I took them for 1 week, then I just abandoned them. So my life continued as normal. Sometimes a period, sometimes not. And when I was ready to have children, I experienced two miscarriages. But even then, I did not tie it to the hormonal imbalance that I had.
Yeah.
And I was working with some friend of mine who kept telling me, your husband is going to leave if you're not having children. You know how people can put you on pressure.
True.
So she introduced me to a guy. I went and I saw that guy, and he did tests.
But how long did it take you? Like before you even had your miscarriages? Like, did it take you a while to trying to have a child?
No, at that time, I did not put a timeline to it. Why? Because at that time I was not actively trying.
Oh yeah.
You get it? Yeah, they were just happening.
Yeah.
And okay, so the miscarriage happens, you move on.
Yeah.
You move on with life.
Yes.
The pregnancy happens, a miscarriage, you move on with life. Yes. So this time when I was now serious, I was like, okay, now I need to work
something
on
must
this
be
thing.
happening.
Something is happening. I went and saw a guy who told me I had a hormonal problem, and he told me I can solve your problem easily. This hormonal thing, small like this,
it's easy.
It can be solved. So he gave me some medicine, Clomid. It's very common in the reproductive world. Yeah, and I took the medicine, and it actually worked.
Wow.
I got I conceived, but then it turned out to be a blighted ovum.
What is that?
So a blighted ovum is you get pregnant, you conceive, the embryo implants in the uterus, then somehow the body realizes that there is an abnormality.
Yes.
So it stops growing, the embryo. So actually what happened, because I think mine was in the very early stages, it dissolved. So I went for scans, and they would show that there's nothing in the sac. In the sac, where, because the sac forms first, the embryo starts growing. Yes. Now at that time when this happened, so by the time I started seeing
that was doctor, after you had the miscarriages, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I started seeing a doctor, now desperation had set in. I was now thinking, okay, maybe there's a problem, but now I need to have children. You get it? So when this thing happened and they told me we cannot see a heartbeat, there's nothing. This was, I think, at about 6 weeks. That's when you do the first scan.
Yeah, true.
But my pregnancy tests were positive.
Wow.
So doing a scan, they tell me there's no heartbeat.
There's nothing.
I told God no. In fact, I left that doctor who had told me. I went to another hospital.
You're like, they are giving me information that I don't want to hear.
Yeah. So I went to another doctor a week later. Did another test, which also showed that there's nothing. But meanwhile, these doctors all would just tell me there's nothing, but soon you will get your period. Yeah. Because I think they are used to an abnormality like this ends up into a miscarriage. Many times. So what happened for me is that I did not miscarry naturally. So I actually kept...
Not even like an incomplete abortion?
Nothing. There was no symptom of anything coming out. I think that's why my hope was also still there. So I actually kept this thing up to 12 weeks.
Wow.
But the real reason why I was keeping it is because for some reason I kept hoping that maybe when I go back the next time, it will
something will show up.
So... And now I was beginning to get into a mental, because I'm like, when I look back at those times, I'm like, I was not okay.
Had the doctor suggested anything like maybe they have to remove the sac or something?
No, but also because I kept changing hospitals, I would not go back to the same place. So if I went to one this time, 2 weeks later, I would go to another one.
Another one.
Yes, because I didn't want to have the same report from the same place.
Okay.
So anyway, at 12 weeks, I went back to the original guy who I had seen, and he was surprised to still see me coming for a scan. He told me, Fiona, this is an emergency. We need to immediately evacuate this. Otherwise, the sac that's in your stomach can burst and it can be fatal. So that's when it became serious for me. So I went, there's an operation called a DNC. It's an assisted abortion. It's a medically assisted abortion. So I went and we did that. Now, because it is done blindly, for me it presented other issues.
But blindly, what do you mean? Like
so it's done, so basically I'm sedated, I am put to sleep because it's a very painful experience. But the doctor does it without seeing exactly what is happening inside. So they just scrape the walls of the uterus to remove whatever is there. That's what happens. Yes.
Is that what we hear, that they pierce? I hear maybe
no, that is different.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what they pierce is called laparoscopy, but I'll get into that because I also did that at some point. Yeah. So when after this operation, I was now properly desperate.
I can get.
And the doctor had told us to, of course, you give it time because your body has to heal and stuff like that. So we then waited for a year. Now, during this 1 year, we were trying actively to have a child. And there are many things that had started now happening. My husband realized if I do not intervene now, I am going to either lose myself or lose my wife. Yes. So he suggested.
Yeah, because I imagine as a woman, like as a wife, you're thinking maybe the problem is me. Like
yes. Anyway, so my husband had heard about a fertility clinic that someone had recommended him to. So he came and suggested to me that why don't we go to this hospital? It's a fertility clinic. Maybe they can tell us what the problem is, what is happening. But because I had also been having the miscarriages, there was no doubt that I could get pregnant. You get it?
Yes.
I just did
At least you had hope that I'll get. Yeah.
Yes. I just didn't understand now why the delay was extended.
Okay.
So at first I resisted because I was like, these guys are so expensive, Yeah. And I was suggesting that we go back to the former doctor. Because I was like, for me in my mind, I was like, yes, he gave us medicine and it worked.
It worked.
Maybe it was God's plan.
Even if it was not complete, but at least we saw.
Yes, we saw that the conception happened. Anyway, my husband refused. He's like, no, we are going to the fertility clinic. So we ended up at the fertility hospital. Yeah. And they repeat the tests. So they did the tests and they now it was the first time I had a name tagged to the problem I was experiencing. Because before it was just a hormonal problem. And at the hospital, they explained to me that I had something called polycystic ovarian syndrome. So the doctor explained to me what polycystic ovarian syndrome meant and how it causes delay in fertility. Yes, in having conception. But because they do extensive tests, they also tested they test the whole system basically. They tested my fallopian tubes and they found. Now they had a history of what I had gone through. So the doctor brought it to my attention that D&C that I had now caused scars. Because remember, they scrape the walls of the uterus and that's where the tubes are also coming from. So it had now caused scarring to my tubes. So my tubes are now partially blocked. Meaning that my chances to conception
were minimal.
Were now had reduced. If before just with the PCOS they were little, now they had reduced significantly. And now that's when they told me to do laparoscopy. So laparoscopy is really like keyhole surgery. They don't properly cut the uterus. They insert cameras. They insert a camera. They insert another like tools
to review what is happening.
See what is happening. Yes, it is sometimes corrective, and it does diagnosis, but it's also a corrective surgery. Okay. So they enter the inside to see what is there. If it can be corrected, they correct it. If it can't, they'll just tell you this is what we found. Oh. So that's what that.
So they can actually correct it during the process?
During the process, yes.
Oh.
If they can correct it. So the reason I did laparoscopy is because they had told me there are chances that they can clear off the scars.
The scars and then
then I can try. Then they can do medicine for the hormones. Then I try naturally. So, but there were conditions to it because they said the chances of the operation work, there's no guarantee that there's going to be success.
Yeah.
So we decided that, actually we did the laparoscopy, but immediately after, because my husband had seen the state of my mind at that time, I was not in a good place. He decided that, let us go immediately for IVF. Because if we decide to first, yes, we've done laparoscopy, then we have to wait because the doctor told us to give it 6 months trying. If after 6 months it has not worked, then I have to now go back and do IVF.
I think that's when that's why I really, really want to ask. So the decision, because I feel like sometimes someone may be, after trying so many times, they are advised, you know what, try IVF. So for your case, at what point did you guys feel like, okay, was it the doctor to say like, if you try this and that, they will not work apart from IVF, or it was just your husband choosing like, you know what, since you're feeling a certain way, let's just do this so that we can
get it done,
sort the problem.
So there are many things that inform someone's decision. I will start with my case, then maybe I'll just indulge into some of the other things. So for my case, at the time when we did the treatment, I was 30 years. Oh. So first of all, the society has told us you're still young.
Yeah.
At 30.
Mm.
And that's what I knew.
Mm.
Then
And that's
the
what we
doctor-
still think, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the doctor told me. So when he was telling me you don't have time anymore,
Mm.
I was like, what do you mean? I am just 30.
Yeah.
He told me, Madam, you are at the peak of your biological clock.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. So he told me, if you still want to have chances, and the reason to just explain the peak of the biological clock, as a woman, you have eggs,
Yes.
and these eggs have a timeline.
Mm.
After 35, there are chances that your egg reserve has declined significantly.
Mm.
So it is actually advisable in the medicine world, in the medical world, to have children between 25 and 35.
And 35.
But us growing up, they told us, don't look at men until you're 30.
I know. Until you're done, like maybe with campus, of which after campus you're like maybe 24.
Look for a job.
Yes.
Then you have to get married, to find a man, to get married. So basically,
by the time you think of children, guys,
anyway, so the doctor explained to me that I am at the peak. Also, because of the hormonal imbalance that I have, there are chances that my eggs will be of very bad quality as I grow older. So basically, the quality reduces.
Yeah.
So as I grow older, there are chances that they maybe even get worse.
So age has a factor in the decision that anyone wants to take.
Yes, age has a factor. So the other thing was the state in which I was. I was I think I had started going to like depressions and things like that. My marriage was now struggling. You get it? So we realized that for us, we can prolong our pain or we can try and cut it short.
Okay.
Because there was also no guarantee that the waiting period that we're going to have was going to produce anything.
To produce something.
Yes. Because of what the doctors had explained to us. So, and they were clear to us that the highest chances at conceiving that you will have right now are going to be through IVF. And he told me, after you've had maybe like your first child, then you can take your time trying.
Because at least you have.
At least you have. Yes. Instead of saying, let me wait until you get it. Yeah. So that was one of the, those are some of the things that informed our decision. And I think the comfort in that also is that the finances were there.
Okay.
You get it? Because the treatments are actually expensive.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to the hospitals, they're going to present several options for you. And some of the things that dictate what option someone is going to take is probably going to be your financial status. The other thing is if someone is actually in a committed relationship.
I know, right?
Yes. Because there are sometimes when we go to the hospital and now, like me, if the doctors had actually given me a proper diagnosis when I was younger, then I would have known that I'm experiencing a fertility issue.
True.
Then maybe I would have gone to see a doctor. So there are women who I have interacted with who know that they have a problem because of the several conditions they have, and they are trying to seek treatment. But then they find that the solution you probably have
needs a man. Yet they are not married or even in any relationship.
Yes. So there are very many challenges that poor experience. They need to make decisions. So for you to even think about or to weigh the options that are going to come out of that, there are women who go and they tell them your egg reserve is running out, and this woman could be in her 30s, her early 30s, because there's something called premature ovarian failure.
Okay.
So that means the woman is going to experience menopause earlier than they should be. Now, if the doctor tells you that your eggs are running out today, you're going to try and do anything to save. I know. Otherwise, you're going to need donor sperm when the time comes for you to have children.
Which is also not that easy.
Yes, which is not that easy. So
you had to choose IVF.
So we chose IVF. We went for IVF, and even during the process, it's a lengthy process. It took me about a month for that whole process of IVF, and
the process of preparing
the body. Yes, because they have to prepare the body. Then they get your eggs, get your husband's sperm, and from the time of, let me say, like you start your treatment to it's called implanting, to the embryo implantation. It takes you about a month on that process. Yes,
I've had people say that it's very possible to still do IVF and then you don't get results.
Yes.
So do doctors prepare you for the results that are to come whether they will be good or not? Do they try to prepare a patient?
No, they don't. And those are some of the challenges that I faced when I was going through my treatment. And some of the things that we do as the organization is to we try to provide mental health support.
Okay.
Why? Because the fertility clinics many times focus only on your fertility.
Fertility, not anything else.
Not anything else. And this journey is very straining, mentally, physically, and in all ways. So for me, I struggled. The reason I said I went through depressions that I didn't understand, but also
and I hear even economically, because
yes,
I had someone who had to go and borrow money because
people sell pieces of land
to
do that treatment. Now, when I was doing my treatment, I realized that there's a lot of brokenness in the hospitals. The women, I would be there and women would be telling stories about husbands who have and they're telling these stories because it now seems like it's normal.
Yes.
And they have to live with it.
Yes.
They tell you about husbands who are now having other children, and they're so open about it
outside, because you're not having children. Let me try my way.
Sometimes the in-laws have come and they are trying to chase you out of your home because you don't have children.
So you're here in the hospital. What the doctor is doing is to only focus on you to have a child, but not on any other entire
to see how is this person dealing. But please note that medicine that they're using for fertility treatment is hormones.
Oh,
so already as a woman you have PMS, which there's that PMS time when you're off.
Yeah.
Now imagine you're having hormones injected in your body
it's
over
worse.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it's worse.
You basically like on an emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
At that time, I lost friends. At the office, I was like just an emotional wreck. At home, I was an emotional wreck. My mom used to call me to check on me, and I didn't want to pick up a call.
Actually, I think that explains why, because we've had friends who are going through those struggles,
yes,
and they tend to withdraw, and completely you never hear from them again. You try out, and then they go into isolation. I don't want to.
No, because it's a very lonely journey, and the problem is that many people don't understand. Like you cannot begin to explain to someone what you're feeling or what you're experiencing,
because they have not experienced it. They have not lived it. Yeah.
Yes, but also the society has not been so appreciating or welcoming to topics about fertility. They don't talk about it. If you're having issues, those are bedroom issues. Leave them there.
I know.
Don't come and start telling someone.
I feel like when you say that, somehow I feel like, does it come from way back, like when we were growing up? We tend to have like these thoughts, just like when you're born.
Yeah.
Parents expect you to walk, to do work, to do things, to be normal. That even when you're growing up, you're going to find a man, you're going to get married, and then you're going to have children. Yeah. So I feel like there is a way society just feels like, no, you should be getting children.
Exactly.
So when you're struggling, they don't
want to get into that. And you see, even when it comes to the man, society has told us if there's a problem conceiving in a couple, with between a couple, it's a woman's problem. It's not the man.
Yet their chances.
The chances are 50-50. Meanwhile, right now, where we stand with the statistics in Uganda, the chances are it's 50% the husband or 50% the wife. But you see, the women have gone up, or even their egos, by the way.
Yeah.
A man does not want to know that he cannot function.
He cannot function. How do you even talk about it?
Exactly.
But before we go there, I want us to go back to the journey of IVF.
Yeah.
So you started the journey, the treatment. So how was the treatment like? How did it treat you? You said it was okay.
It was
those
hard,
are hormones, and then they.
Now for me, it was a very challenging journey. And when we talked about mental health, because I did not know what I was experiencing.
Okay.
The doctors
did not explain.
No, they don't explain to you that this is what you should expect, and sometimes there's a time I was challenging one of my friend doctors, and I was telling him, because I kept telling him when I went for IVF and when I was paying the money to do that, to start the treatment, I did not know that there were chances that it will not work.
Oh yes.
Because when I pay 20-something million, I expect to have results.
It's a lot.
When you get that money and pay, you expect to have results.
Yes.
So
my mental
it's
so bad. He's not prepared.
No.
That when you lose, you need to go back and be like, I was told that it's a 50-50.
But now the doctor told me, or he keeps telling me, Fiona, we told you that there's a guarantee that it may not work. And what I told him, for me, I think what I picked up from my experience is there are things that, so when I go into the doctor's hospital, I mean that when I go into the doctor's room and I'm struggling with fertility, my mind is focused on one thing. So there are many things the doctor is going to tell me that I will not hear.
Yes.
He will say, and they'll just be passing by.
Because your focus is on one thing, I want solution.
Exactly. Yeah. My focus is on the thing that has taken me there. So the things that I kept telling them is, let me say, like the hospitals that I deal with, is they should be psychologists.
Yes.
Want to understand this person before they even start the journey. So that as they're starting that journey, they know exactly what they're getting into, but also
they have
their
support.
expectations are managed.
Yeah, true.
Because if someone borrows money, for example, from a bank,
and then afterwards you tell them, then, we told you there is no guarantee.
Yes, then
the
it
chances
does not work.
It's bad.
You have double loss.
Yeah, true.
Your heart is broken from two angles, financially and emotionally. Yes. So for me, I was in that state where I don't remember being told, because I think it was mentioned casually that there are no chances, and moving on to other things. So
you went on.
I went on.
You said the treatment takes like a month.
Yeah, it takes like a month. Did the treatment. They give you an option of how many embryos you want to choose to implant. We chose 3 embryos.
Okay.
And because of the chances of
what exactly do they do?
So during the IVF.
Yeah, during the IVF.
So IVF, they prepare my body basically. The doctor takes control of my cycle.
Okay.
So the first thing they're going to do is to induce a cycle, to induce a period. Because you know the first day of your period is the first day of your cycle. Yes. True. So they induce a period, then they immediately take charge.
Oh.
So I think after your period, maybe a few days later, you start medicine. I don't remember the exact timing of when you do the medicine, but you get on 2 fertility, basically injections. These injections are on your stomach every day for 2 to 3 weeks.
I can imagine.
So that's already a challenge for me. It was also a very challenging time. I'm working somewhere, I'm employed, and they should be at the same time every day.
Wow.
So my injections, I remember, used to be at midday.
No missing at any one point.
Otherwise, you've messed up your cycle. At that time, I was not open with my story.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell my boss that I am struggling with having children, so I am doing treatment.
You get it? Yes.
So
you had to find your way, struggle your way, so that
yes, of leaving the office every day at midday to go and do treatment.
Who would even want to just tell out that story when it's not yet successful? Like somehow you.
No, but also because it's very personal. You know, these things of challenges. Sometimes society celebrates you when you're a mother.
When you're a mother.
You know, they celebrate you. Without children, they're going to start looking. They pass eyes through you.
Yeah.
So if what society has told you that your body should do to be a baby factory, your body cannot do, you feel like you're less than.
Less than a woman.
Exactly what society has told you. So it's not something easy to share. True. That I cannot have children naturally. Anyway, so went to the cycle injections every day for about 3 weeks. After the injections, after they are prepared, the body and your eggs are grown, they then harvest them.
Oh,
yes. So they harvest. But during this time, they are watching. You're doing scans and they're monitoring the eggs to get to the right size they want. So when they are the right size, they harvest the eggs. Then they also harvest your husband's sperm.
So that the process of harvesting, isn't it painful? Isn't it like, is it normal? Do they
they sedate you, so they put you to sleep because it's a very painful. I was sleeping, so I don't know. But I imagine by the time they have to put you to sleep, then it's a painful. It's a painful procedure. Yeah, because I think I know that they use like an injection, some medical injection, to pick those eggs from the ovaries.
Oh, it's a long process. We are going to take a very short break, and then we'll come back to hear more of that. Just so you know, we are on Woman to Woman reality talk show. Those who are new here, please consider subscribing and like our show. Yeah, keep sharing, because you never know who this message could help. And this show is sponsored by The Blessing Jewelry, located at Parkview Shopping Center, Level 3, shop number 9.
Woman to Woman reality talk show. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more about this eventful and exciting show. Woman to Woman reality talk show.